Today we're doing our very first video feedback review. And this will basically be listening to shit.
That was good. That was good though, bro.
Hey guys, welcome to the MFers Network channel. Today we'll be doing our very first video feedback review. In this, we'll basically be listening to tracks made by members of our Discord server and giving feedback. I'm Bacon.
I'm Lee.
I'm Vibes.
Silverwolf.
And without further ado, let's get right into it. So, first we got Hergus Burgers.
The old
Old
garden
drums galore.
Yep.
That's it.
Perfect.
Right.
And whenever you guys are ready, we're gonna hit the start on that check. So we ready?
Everyone, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, count.
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, go.
I like that. I like that intro so far. That's really creative.
It's interesting.
Builds
interest.
anticipation. It's pretty sick. Got the strings going.
I'm ready to see where this goes.
Really thinking the atmosphere.
Yeah.
Dude, super atmospheric, bro.
It's got something going to it, man. I'll say that.
This build-up's got you like ready.
Like hyped.
That's like 3 layers worth of a build-up intro.
Yeah.
For real.
I like the low-key metronome just going in the background. All right, it's getting a little long now.
Anticipation.
Getting a little long now.
The anticipation's fading just a little bit, maybe a little bit too long.
I like the various levels of loudness.
That little contrast in the octaves was really nice. Oh, this dissonance.
Almost unison.
Yeah. Got creepy.
So, my initial reaction was obviously, I think we all agree that intro was very interesting. The sort of metronome, clock ticking, that is very cool, very good atmosphere, especially when that bass came in. But then I would say that I don't want to hit on too many things, so let's keep the conversation going to someone else now, and we'll circle back around.
Okay.
What I'll
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say that I feel like the entire song was in the intro. You know, like we had 2.5 minutes building up to like what's going to happen, and then we get only a 30-second final drop, and then the song's over. So I just feel like the intro.
I agree. Yeah.
The
I
intro
agree, totally.
was just a little too long, but the elements in it were really nice. It took a while to get to what felt to get to the point.
Yeah, I would. On that point, I would totally say that I sort of lost anticipation for the track because of that long intro, the duration of the intro.
Okay, like I like the intro, the first part of it was good. Like it had some good, interesting dynamics, especially when the strings kicked in, and then you had the little bit of dissonance and unison clashing going on.
Yeah.
It brought some interesting elements to it, but it was just way too focused on the builds, not enough dynamics introduced until the end, where you got the drums and brass section.
And then what I thought too, especially after that drop, I think definitely needs some more high frequency work, needs some more crashing, some cymbals in there, some cymbal work. Is very minimal when it was trying to deliver such an epic build, and then the drop, it could have used a little bit more punch in the drop.
Yeah. Anything from you, Gia?
No, not really. I definitely agree with your point, Bacon, and I definitely agree also with Levi. The intro is a little too long, if that makes sense, and it anticipates for like 40 or 30 seconds in the last, like the song structure. It's like literally like 30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get you. Y'all ready to move on to the next one?
Let's do it.
All right. So the next one we have is Snakes and Stuff by Del. And if you're ready, 3, 2, 1, go.
Whoa.
Can we hit us with chords real quick?
Right.
Nice and airy atmosphere.
Yeah, I was gonna say that atmosphere is really nice.
Perfect mixing on the low end of the frequencies there too.
Alright, got me all set.
It's definitely pulling on the emotion.
For sure.
I think I want to cry.
I like how it's building up with the progressions. It sounds a little bit different than the previous.
Oh,
I like that. I like that, man.
Nice. Oh, you got the bells going on.
The bird, that ear candy.
Really like the shuffle there.
That is sick, man. Glissando type of effect going on. It's on point, man. Damn.
This is so good.
Yeah,
A lot
that
of
beat.
interesting elements.
What is that drum just playing in the back there?
It's kind of like a bongo.
That's what I wanted to say.
Some live toms, it sounds like in the back.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Tom's going in the background. Very nice.
The bass drum is on point. Very crisp.
All right, that was a killer, dude. I like that.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
absolutely
for sure.
killer.
Right off the bat, that like airy atmosphere with like a nice even low end into it just set the mood like right away. And I would like to contrast it with the previous track we listened to. The intro was the perfect amount of time. It didn't take add a layer and then add another layer and then add another layer and then add another layer and then you have the drop. It's just like 2 layers, nice and simple with a strong, hard, or like solid drop.
Yeah, the drop. And then I think what's great about the drop is that like even in the drop, you're like, oh, the drop's here, and then he adds these other elements, like you hear the bird flap away, you hear the other instruments coming on the side, and those background bongos added so much to the track that I'm like, I should have added something like that in my track. Should I?
Yeah.
The percussive elements really stood out along with the piano and the reverb. It just created something very dynamic and unique.
For sure.
One of a kind.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like you really took your time with those sounds and actually craft them by yourself, and it really sounds like you put a lot of effort into them.
It sounds like
showed.
Yeah, dude. It sounds like each individual instrument was like separately mixed to work with each other instead of just sort of like going over like a freak range for the entire track. Like it was really, really good. And I think that it was a very interesting like instrument palette, like the choice of instruments throughout the entire track. I thought was
They just really complement one another.
yeah.
That's wild, bro. It was an awesome track, Delkin.
All right, cool. On the
All right, so next we have Authentic City by Mad Paladin. 3, 2, 1, play.
There's a theme going on with the intros so far.
Yeah, sounds similar. First and third, let's hear it.
Oh.
Nice. Nice run there. Okay. There you go. Add some more elements to it.
Oh.
Dude, the bongos, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna
Something
say it's the
about it, it
bongos
stands
again.
out. That brought life to it. Oh! The synth, man.
What instrument is that? That's something.
Yeah, that's
I
a
was like, I think the synth and the bongos are definitely driving this.
For sure. Builds that intensity that this song needs.
I feel like there's a drop coming. I feel like there's a big drop.
Yeah, I'm so nervous.
I'm ready for this right now.
Down with the synth, it's very warped.
I'm so ready for this right now.
Oh, snap.
I wish he did something a little bit different right there, honestly.
Yeah,
Or like
same.
made it a little more
I was
interesting.
Maybe something a little bit harder, yeah.
Like a heavy drop or something.
Because it didn't change, it's kind of coming off as repetitive.
Yeah.
Exactly. The first thing, negative-wise, that stood out to me was the whole track sounded noisy. Like there's a white static noise going on in the background of the entire track. Like maybe the mixing or the plugin that he chose were not like the best quality. Maybe I don't know what that was. Am I the only one who noticed that?
Yeah, it could be.
You know,
just, like,
after you said that,
added noise.
It's like you can kind of hear it after you point it out.
Probably, yeah.
But for me, I think maybe the first half of the track was really dope because it was the initial elements that you also heard in the second half. So like whenever they're first introduced at the beginning, they sound great. But once it became repetition towards the end and we didn't get like a full drop, it was kind of disappointing. One thing I will say though is before he brought the repetition back in, he brought like a gasp in the track. Like not even like
That
a
really,
pause. It wasn't a pause. It was like
like a breath, like
and then it came back again, like
Yeah.
you know.
like,
How was it? What was it like, Bacon?
he was like, let me get it one
I
more.
didn't see that. There you go.
Let's go.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
And then you're back running. I don't know. It gives you kind of like a background feedback, not like feedback, but like background idea for maybe like a running scene or like an intense scene, but where nothing happens. It's like you expect something, but the show throws
doesn't
a snowball
evolve.
at you and it frees it. You know, it's not really like anything changes.
See,
Yeah.
I think that the whole atmosphere, like it with the synth sound, it sounded very warped, and the piano, the reverb, it just sounded very airy, and it just sounded like spacious, like you're in space. That's what it sounded like.
What I
Yeah,
will say is it still has me bouncing. Like I'm over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still hear the synth in my head. Like the synth
Exactly.
when the synth came in. Like that was a good fucking lead, bro. Excuse me, I shouldn't be cursing.
That's crazy.
But
It was a good lead though, for sure.
But I think the biggest critique is the repetition, and could have been a little bit stronger.
I agree with that.
Yeah. All right, y'all ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We have Spock and Step, GPXGD by Spock. And 3, 2, 1. Is that a flute?
It's a square. Right?
I was expecting again.
It brought like a Spanish sound to it. I wasn't expecting that.
Oh, dude, the drop. It's unfinished.
Yeah.
Thanks. We're just like, thank you.
Like that was a good. That was coming up to a great build, and then nothing.
You
Big
thought?
note for me. So I had turned the tracks down to half volume because they were a little loud and I couldn't hear you guys talking. And at half volume, it was still too loud. So I had to cut it again. So I think the track, if I would have had it at full volume, was probably going to be too loud. Yeah, just I think the overall mixing was too loud for the track.
Yeah, definitely. And the drum kit use like a lot of mixing work still. I feel like
Yeah,
it
I think
feels a
this is
little bit.
definitely a works in progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked if you really listened, the rhythm pluck in the background had this panning effect going on, which I really appreciated. I thought that's pretty good. But that also that is the synth that when the synth came in, I think the synth was like too wide, like too stereo separated. I think if you made a little more mono and pulled it back so it's not so loud and so in the foreground, it would have made a huge improvement on the track. And that kicks into the mixing things that you guys were talking about earlier.
Yeah. And overall effects and symbols and I don't know, a lot of other things that you could add to the track to make it sound a little bit more polished. Could definitely sound.
See, with the first drop, I really wasn't expecting the Spanish sound. It kind of threw me off some, but I mean,
Spanish sound?
you picked up with it, so let's roll with it.
But one thing I will say is great about it is from the jump it already had like a counter melody, like a melody and a counter melody, and then they added an additional counter melody to the counter melody, which was really cool. That's when I like asked you guys was that in the background because it like added on already to what was already going on.
Yeah, it got pretty busy pretty quick, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. All my stuff's super busy, so I understand that. All right, cool. Any other thoughts?
Not really.
I'm all good on this one.
All right.
All right, so the next one is going to be Dirge MP3 by Eli Fott. And okay, ready. 3, 2, 1.
This is definitely gonna be different than what we've been hearing.
Yeah.
Eli Fox.
For sure, the strings are a new element entirely.
Harpoon monsoon into my chest.
Oh, yeah.
Got a good voice going.
The weight of my own flesh pulling me down from my ego. I messed it up again, I know.
I think the lyrics are very like driving. It's like a verse kind of mentality.
Like they're strong, but they're clean.
Is that a banjo?
I think one of them is probably a banjo, and the other one's a guitar, an acoustic.
Yeah.
Probably with that might be a ukulele, dude.
The central vein of a mystery. I hear it crumble with its festering. Look into my eyes and see I'm not afraid of a visionary.
Harmonica?
That's very nice.
I don't think it's a harmonic.
Dirge of a sinner, the ode to
He keeps introducing new instruments. It's crazy. Now we got a bass going on in the back.
Yeah.
That I know, but why should tears begin to flow?
All right. I got a lot to say about that. I shouldn't say a lot, but like
Say everything.
so obviously the guitar, the different string instruments sound like there's a banjo. It sounded like it might have even been a ukulele at one point. I think they were good, clean. It kept the pace and the drive of the song going forward the entire thing, which is awesome. The vocals were strong, but they were clean, which I think it's easy to mess vocal ups. So I think Eli did pretty good there. He's got a good song structure. It is almost like that verse chorus verse structure, so it's very traditional structure for a track like that, which is great. I will say though, my two negatives or criticisms, I think the drums could have used a little bit more, maybe compression. The mixing on the drums didn't sound quite right, and I think that he maybe introduced too many different instruments. Like there's almost too many different flavors going into the mix. You know what I mean? Like because then he added that bass halfway through there somewhere. So he was taking instruments in and taking instruments out, and then bringing in new instruments, and then bringing out those instruments, and then bringing in new instruments. It almost might have been too much. I don't know what you guys think about that. I don't know if that's good or bad.
I got a good handful of notes too. So first things first. It's a bit longer. It's a bit longer of a track than we asked for, but it was with a good reason behind it. I say because you kind of get a full feel of his. My first note is the track ended at like 4.5 minutes or so, and there was like a good 30-40 seconds that were silent. So just try to snip that in your production, make sure it doesn't extend that far past the end of it. Next, the drums, like you said, I think it was the sample selection. Personally, I don't think it was necessarily drums mix. It could have been, but the actual sample selections, they sound like extreme, I guess, like stocky, like bass drums that come with the program that you might be.
Right. It sounded like a free sample pack, which I mean, if that's what I got to work with, fine. But
Yeah,
the
and not even
quality
like a
was
free, like FL stock.
right.
After that, I would just say for your vocals, they were clean when it was just the main. But whenever you came in with your high vocals, it's not that it sounded like you were struggling, but your voice would cut out some parts of that, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It could be like an effect you were going for. But for me personally, it just seemed like it might have been incomplete. Like maybe you needed to redo your highs there.
Who else? Anyone else?
I definitely agree with the Levi on there were quite a few instruments that were introduced. For the most part, I thought all of them flowed very, very smoothly onto the next one. Something about the bass line though, to me, I don't know if it's I got a different sound or something, but it just sounded a little bit different. Wasn't expecting that kind of either
Instrument.
like a beat, a background, or I was expecting something slightly different. Overall, it had kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? It sounded like it almost foreign with as many different elements as it had to. But I really liked the lyrical flow. Everything felt like a verse. The lyrics were unique. It wasn't like overly repeated or nothing, you know?
Yeah, and for me, I actually agree with Bacon a lot. The sound selection probably could have been better. You could have mixed it as well a lot cleaner. It could have been a lot more polished. Also, in the mixes in the part of the saw waves that actually start like going up and down like sidechain, that part could have used a little bit more well polish as well. But overall, the track seems like it sounds very very promising.
It's a great,
Really
yeah,
like
great
Like
track.
it's headed in the right direction.
And that's a good. I think that's a really good to point out. Vibes is the overall mix. Probably could use a little more quality in the overall mix, but the track as a whole is really.
I think what's funny is this kind of mellowed us all down because we've all been like, "Oh, this was really nice," and talking up here and stuff. but then like this track alone just like has a. Well, I feel like this.
Yeah,
this
Very
scene.
good. Kind of needed.
Yeah, like
All right. Wait,
But
let's get on to the next track.
yeah, last track of the evening.
Okay, let me
That
scroll up real
is
quick.
that new Deli Drip 2
Let's
by
check it out.
Jockey Dip Dot Tater Tot. Fun name to say. But all right, so 3, 2, 1.
It's all right.
Oh, this thing going hard now.
Yeah, I love that. That dissonance is awesome.
I like the back and forth bass.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a walking bass from the left and right panning. It's like do my dance.
I can rap this,
I
man.
don't know.
Whoa. That 808 though.
Okay, this is a change of pace.
Wow, this go hard.
It's all right.
I like how the whole track is clear. It has a lot of clarity, even with the muddy bass.
Yeah, crazily enough, with the muddy bass, I feel like it's empty, like it's missing some
Lyrics.
sound, you know?
No, it's just I feel like it's missing some frequencies. And it's probably because of the filter.
It's like open.
What do you guys think?
It's a very nice beat overall.
I mean, it was definitely different from what we heard before.
Yeah, that's for
It
sure.
It kind
one
of makes
of
me
them.
wonder if it's like meant to be lo-fi or something.
Yeah, I feel like there's something going on with a filter, possibly.
There's definitely some sort of like low pass going on somewhere.
Yeah, it's
in
taking
there.
a lot of of what makes bass and actually other low frequencies sound
Yeah.
more impactful.
Because a strong bass will still have some like midtones in there.
So maybe
Yeah,
you
it's
should play
missing,
a little
like,
bit. Yeah, with
like-
automations.
I don't have too much negative to say about this track. I love dissonance in general. Every single one of my tracks is about that feel. So I love that intro, and it has like that old school hip hop Egyptian vibe sort of thing. You know, like I'm not like like
Yeah,
rap,
that's the sound
like-
I was looking for.
like the old school Tribe Called
For
Quest
real.
and stuff like that. Like, and that's not even my normal
That's
genre,
it.
so I don't know a whole lot about it, but that's what it made me think of. So I thought that's pretty cool. Again, I thought the whole track had a high clarity in it. You could easily hear everything. Nothing was being drowned out. And that's perfect for putting lyrics over, dude. Somebody's got to spit something over.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I still feel like it's missing like a thickening element, like
Yeah.
something that'll thicken the sound.
That's what I was saying. Like maybe it's a filter that is actually going on that is taking
Yeah.
away some of that frequencies that actually make it pop a little bit more. So maybe you should play with automations a little bit more with the filters. I recommend doing so. It will definitely help out a lot especially in the drop part.
can't remember if there was a snare going on, but maybe that would throw something into the mix.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, they're
definitely.
it was like a clap though. It's not really a snare. It's
Yeah.
cool. Any other notes for that track?
No, I think overall all the tracks have been good
Pretty-
tracks. They've been at least in the least high quality.
Yeah, totally
like,
agree. Pretty good quality
Definitely high quality sound.
for all of them.
All right, cool. So this has been our feedback. If you guys liked any of those tracks and you want to check out some of the music from the artists that submitted for feedback, rather, just check the description down below. Anybody who wanted their links to be there will be there. So make sure you guys check the description box. Make sure you comment down below whose track was your favorite track. Let us know what you loved about it, what you didn't like about it. And if you want, you can go back through the whole video and give feedback for every track, just like we did. But yeah, this has been the MFers Network channel for the day, our feedback. Again, I'm Bacon.
I'm Levi.
I'm Vibes.
Silver Wolf.
And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Peace.